Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. I'm Amanda. So, as you noticed, Emily and I are not filming this together. Unfortunately, we both just work full-time jobs, and some days you just don't have time for us to do things together. But that's okay because this is interactive horror stories. I will be playing 3 or 4 tonight. We'll see what we get to, but I'm aiming for 3. Emily will be playing a few on her own, and we're just going to marry this video together and we'll see our reactions side by side. Let's pick which one I'm gonna do first. Well, I'm not gonna do the doll because fuck possessed dolls. Let's do After Funeral. After Funeral is a modern gothic horror story that takes place 3 days after your son's burial. You receive messages in your computer. Those claim to be sent by your son's soul. He says that he wants to be with you once again, and he asks you to do a few things in order to be resurrected. Will you believe in the messages? You used to be a father. It has been 3 days since your son, Jonathan White, was buried in the graveyard of the local church. He was 8 years old. He had golden hair and blue eyes, just like the beloved man in the Carpenter's song Close to You. Since your wife passed away giving birth to Jonathan, and since he has been your everything, he was your angel, now he is gone.
He died on a snowy winter morning. You had gone to market, leaving him alone at home. When you arrived at home, you found Jonathan lying on the bed, motionless. His face was covered with his pillow, choked. Police couldn't find any trace of trespassing. You clearly remember the solemn moments of Jonathan's funeral. In fact, you try to forget, but the details are in front of your eyes and they won't go away. The priest had intoned psalms and prayers, those you are not so familiar with, you are not so religious. While the lifeless body of your son laid in the church, his feet were turned to the east. He was wearing black suits and shiny shoes. His skin was pale. He was way too young for all this. You wish it was you lying there instead of him. Like the day Jonathan died, it's a snowy day in all of Ohio. There are 3 inches of snow outside. It's 14 o'clock or 2 o'clock US time now. You are a writer who has been on writer's block since that day. Your favorite word processor is open in the computer. The screen is blank. You haven't written anything for a long time. There are cigarette butts in the ashtray and your black, hot coffee in a blue cup on your work table. You chain smoke and consume a lot of coffee nowadays. As you're sipping on your coffee, doorbell rings.
Let's open the door. Nothing suspicious is happening yet. You open the door. It's Bob, your neighbor and friend. You had drunk beers and had barbecue with him for several times. Bob is a nice guy. He is overweight, has short black hair, and has no facial hair. He wears a dark blue jacket
And a black beanie. Hey, how are you? I wanted to ask how you've been. Still depressed, I'm fine, lie. Let's just tell the truth. Bob replies, I can imagine how hard it is. I never had kids, but I had a cat when I was younger. I loved her as my daughter, then I had to bury her in the garden myself. It was tough. I know how much you loved Jonathan. I am shocked like you to see him gone. Bob continues, I'm going to the market right now. Do you need anything? You remember that you're out of cigarettes. Well, let's not encourage smoking, so I'm gonna say no thank you. Okay, man, see you later. You say goodbye to Bob too, then he goes. You close the door and sit back on your work table. You look at the computer screen that should had been, oh, that's a typo, blank. But no, it is not blank. Something is written. Daddy, I missed you. Shout, type, turn off the computer. I'll turn off the computer. You turn off the computer and the monitor screen goes blank. Then nothing else appears on the screen. You don't find anything to write in your novel, so you don't need to turn on the computer once again. And yes, also the text disturbed you. You don't experience anything supernatural during the rest of the day. At night, you take your sleeping pills and fall asleep. You are having a vivid dream. You see Jonathan in a garden with green grass and colorful flowers. He runs around with happiness, and angels, there are white-dressed angels around him. Everyone is smiling. You are not part of this dream. Jonathan doesn't see you, but you are still content with seeing him happy in this Eden. He was always a benevolent boy after all. He deserved to go to heaven. You wake up to the sound of the door. Rings bell. You take a look at the clock. It's 10 a.m. You wear your slippers and open the door. It's Bob. Hello, I need to show you something. He holds a newspaper in his hand. There's anxiety in his face. You take the newspaper. It's Ohio's local newspaper. Another kid choked to death. Officers are investigating the curious case of repeated deaths of kids in the state. Yesterday night, a 6-year-old boy, Kevin Madison, was found dead in his bed by his parents. His face was covered with his pillow. What makes this interesting for officers is this is the 7th time a boy died this way this month in Ohio. Recently, 8 years old Jonathan White also died with a pillow on his face. Sheriff Wolcott states that he finds the recent events quite interesting. See, the typos, my guess is since there was an option to play this in Turkish is that the person who created this, their native language isn't English, but the typos and the way that it's written is kind of taking me out of it right now. The end. There are 2 possible endings. Okay then. Okay, so that was after funeral. Let's do Evil Beneath the Ground, because, I don't know. Maybe that kind of reminds me of Evil Under the Sun, which is a very good Agatha Christie novel. Okay. You are a goth university student with no friends. You join a school trip to a lake and the forest near it. If you decide to wander in the forest at night, you will find bare footprints that are coming from a black hole or the ladder. Will you descend down? You are a young university student who identifies as a goth. I love how it bolded goth. You are a lonely person. People think that you want to be alone, but in fact you couldn't find someone you felt affinity. Everyone is so distant from you. Nobody you know listens to the music you love, like Bauhaus, This Mortal Coil, The Sisters of Mercy, etc. You heard about a university field trip to a lake and the forest around it in autumn. There would be a picnic, also alcohol is permitted. You could bring your own drinks. You join the field trip, not only maybe you could make some new friends, but you also love the nature, especially when it's a cold season. But of course you couldn't make new friends once again. During the 2 hours of bus travel, you found out that every other student who joined the trip were already friends. They simply ignored you. You also didn't approach them. Well, if you don't open yourself up, of course you're not going to make any friends. As a result, all you could do during the bus trip was looking outside the window or play games on your phone while you listened to their joyful laughters. You have mixed feelings about this picnic by the lake. You can't feel yourself as part of the joyful youth who are enjoying the nature trip. After having a picnic barbecue, they played a game with a ball in which they formed a circle and tried not to let the ball touch the ground. Everyone participated in the game except for you. But you enjoy the nature trip somehow. As said before, you love the nature. You took pictures of the lake with your phone. You don't plan to post these pictures anywhere, though. There is a huge forest near the picnic area. You have always found peace in the green of the forests. After the sun set, people begin to light a campfire and drink. People around your age generally prefer beer, but you don't like it. You feel it overfills your stomach and causes nausea after 2 cans. Okay. I will agree beer is filling, but okay, to each their own. Instead, you prefer stronger drinks. Okay. Like those can't cause nausea. Today you brought a bottle of red wine and a wine glass. Oh, you're bougie on this nature camping trip. They gathered around the campfire while you drank your wine alone, away from them. Well, that's why you don't have friends. You're not even letting yourself join in with other people. Or even, maybe offer them some wine. Maybe someone else doesn't want wine. I'm getting a very not like other girls kind of vibes. A handsome guy brought his guitar from the bus and began playing it around the fire while you have finished your second glass of wine. Campfire and moon illuminate the darkness. Sun already has set. There are about 5 hours for the picnic to end. You'll be going back to the city with buses. He is playing a calming song. You might join the group. But you also feel a strong urge to have a walk in the dark forest. I know this wants me to walk in the dark forest because that's what the description said. Part of me wants to go against it. You know what? This is supposed to be Halloween. I will go into the dark forest just to get some scares out of this. You stand up and wander away from the picnic. You feel the call of the dark forest, so you walk along the path into the forest. Also, something I want to say, I knew a few people who identified as goth or emo in college/uni. They weren't necessarily antisocial, that's just the aesthetic that they liked. The trees are high and still green. Maybe they stay green in all seasons. You don't know. Your field is not biology. The soil is wet and muddy. It must have rained before your group arrived at the lake. You leave boot prints on the soil as you walk. There are no clouds in the sky. Full moon and stars illuminate the forest. But that's not enough for your eyes. You turn on the flashlight of your phone. There is an app for it too. You can't clearly see, but notice rabbits in the distance. Naturally, they run from you as they noticed your presence. You begin to think that you might have gone too far away from the picnic, but there is nothing interesting in the picnic area. You somehow feel like the darkness of the forest is your friend. Only friend. Okay, yeah, let's keep going. You continue on the forest path. After a few minutes, you notice footprints on the soil. They seem to belong to a human with bare, big feet. Bigfoot! Probably a man. The prints cross the path. Oh, we can follow him or follow his route back. So follow where his footsteps came. I'll follow where his footsteps came from. You decide to go to the place where he comes from. After a long walk, you find yourself at a hole. There is a lid and a long rope near it. The man clearly comes from the hole. His footprints prove it. When you hold your phone's light into the black hole, you see that there is a ladder inside the hole. You can't see the end of the hole from your position. As a curious and drunk boy, you feel a strong urge to descend. Okay, so it's a guy, not a... Yeah, let's go. As you need to use both hands to climb down, you put your phone into your jeans pocket, turning off the light. You start climbing down. After a few seconds, moon and stars above no longer illuminate what you see. You are in pitch black and the ladder still continues. Finally, your feet touch the ground. You are so distant from the forest you can't see the entrance of the hole from where you are. You carefully get on your 2 feet. I thought they were already touching the ground. Okay, yep. You can see nothing yet. Turn on the phone's lights. The place where you are is made of concrete. There is a long corridor in front of you. It is narrow, about 1 meter wide. It is not very high. There are only a few centimeters between your head and the ceiling of the corridor. You smell a terrible odor. It's a mixture of feces and something you can't understand. There are 3 doorless holes along the concrete corridor, making 3 rooms to discover. Now let's go to the 3rd room. You see a chain tied to the wall. It has a bracelet at its end. There are 2 metal buckets. They are both empty. You notice a metal key on the floor. Okay, let's take the key. Place where is made of concrete. Okay, so we were just in the 3rd room. Let's go to the 1st room. There's an empty wooden coffin. A mirror hangs on the concrete wall. A bloody razor and a black whip stand in front of the mirror. In the mirror, you see your reflection and the terror on your face. Okay, let's go to the 2nd room then. You are shocked to find a chained woman in this room. The chain is tied on her ankle. She looks in her 40s, too weak, her bones are noticeable, and has a pale skin with lots of scars. She's on her knees. She is naked. Her body is lightly hairy except for her pubic area. It is quite hairy. Contrasting her hairy body, her head is shaved. She stinks. Not only the smell of feces, but also looks like she wasn't washed for years. She screams as you point the light to her. Oh, let's say, who are you? She doesn't answer your question, but yells with despair, "Help me, he keeps me here." Oh yeah, let's try to save her. You crouch down to her tied foot. With the key you got, you unlock the bracelet. She is free. You also notice her pinky toe is missing. Well, don't ask questions. Let's just get the fuck out of here. You hold the woman's hand and rush to the ladder. Your other hand holds your phone so that you enlighten the corridor. But as you reach the ladders, you feel something hits your stomach. You can't understand it. You saw nothing in front of you, but there is still something. Your phone falls to the ground. You can't see anything. The woman screams, "Oh no! He came!" You feel something grab you and smashes your head into the concrete walls. You black out. When you wake up, you find yourself lying on the concrete floor in pitch darkness. By the smell, you understand that you are in the same place. Whoever is keeping you captive, he stripped you from all clothes. You are naked and cold. There is a gag in your mouth, so you can't shout and communicate with the woman. She might be gagged too. This is some weird BDSM shit. BDSM vampire shit, that's what's running through my mind. You stand up and try to walk away, but your ankle is tied with a chain. You can walk only in a chamber with 1 meter of radius. Your foot touches a metal bucket. It's probably where he expects you to defecate. You lose all your sense of time here. You wait for an unmeasurable time for something to happen. You are thirsty and hungry. Sometimes you hear your phone rings. It is in a different room. The piano melody is "It's the Fear" by Within Temptation. An ironic name for your situation. They probably noticed that you are missing and tried to reach you, especially your parents. They must have become mad. Of course you can't answer the call. Finally, you hear footsteps. You hear your captor coming to your room. You are unable to see anything. He takes your gag off. Apparently he has no problem with seeing in the pitch black. And you hear his voice, "Drink." It belongs to an old man. A dominant, ordering voice. You feel the tip of a bucket on your lips. Oh, a bucket? I don't trust that shit. Who are you? I'm your new master. You better behave well. You are mine now. Now drink, or I won't give it to you once again. It is water he is offering. You drink it. Not the best water you drink. It could be taken from the lake. But you have no other choices, it seems. After you drink enough, he puts the bucket on the ground. Now he brings something else to your lips. Eat. You are too hungry to refuse him. You allow him to put the thing in your mouth. It's meat, but raw. You would never eat raw meat, except for sushi. But now you chew it slowly. It's rabbit, he says. You shallow the meat, despite how it disgusts you. After you eat, you eat all he gives you. He puts the gag on your mouth and leaves the room without saying another word. After a while, he comes back as you were lying on the floor. Stand up, he orders you. Stand up. You get on your 2 feet clumsily. He grabs your body and you feel 2 sharp fangs in your neck. Ah, there we go. He starts draining your blood. And you understand the true nature of your captor. You have no idea how long you have been a prisoner here. You're mostly alone in the room, doing nothing with a gag on your mouth. He occasionally comes back to feed you and himself. Sometimes you hear loud sounds from the other room. He tortures the woman. She screams and begs him to stop, but he doesn't. You hear a whip hit the naked flesh of the woman, but for some reason he doesn't harm you, only the woman. You haven't seen anything for a long time. You have no idea what he looks like. Sometimes you hear sobbing, but it doesn't belong to the woman. To the captor, he cries loudly for some reason. Some day or night you can't figure out, he shows up and takes your gag off. I have done research about you, learned everything about you. How? How? He says your name, shocking you. We have some common points. We both like the dark. We are both outcasts. Lonely souls in this world of darkness. I will make you an offer only once, so make your decision wisely. I can make you an immortal like me. You will no longer be in chains. You will have a life or unlife in the dark like you have always wanted. Or you can stay as immortal and wait for the day you will die here as my prisoner. Might as well. Let's just become a vampire. Very well, he says. Stand up. You stand up and allow your master to embrace you. You feel his fangs on your neck once again. But this time he doesn't stop. You feel your whole blood is getting drained. Soon, you lose consciousness. Oh, red text now. You open your eyes. You find yourself lying in a wooden coffin, but this time you are able to see. There isn't any single light source in the concrete room, but you see your environment as if you are wearing night vision goggles. You are wearing your old clothes and also gloves, so you can't see your skin. You have lost your hair. It has shed. Your old hair is on the coffin's part where you put your head on. The pillow? And you feel your face changed, too. But the most significant change is an unbearable thirst, but not for water. Welcome to a new start, my child. You hear his voice. You look around the room, but you can't see him. There are 2 coffins and a mirror in the room. They think that our kind can't be seen in the mirror. False! Take a look at yourself. You step outside the coffin and walk to the mirror. You are in terror with what you see in the mirror. You don't carry a human face anymore. Your skin has scales like a snake. Its color is a light gray, almost white. Your ears are long and have pointy tips. Your eyes are all red. You slowly open your mouth and see your sharp teeth. You scream, break down, and cry in despair. Then you feel his hand, claw to be exact, on your shoulder. He stands on your back. Now you are able to see his hand. It is scaled like your skin. Look at me, he orders you, and for some reason you can't disobey your master. You involuntarily look at the mirror to see the immortal entity behind you. His body is tall, naked, and has a humpback. His skin is almost white and scaled. But his face is the ugliest thing you have ever seen. It is the embodiment of evils, torture, murder, rape, and envy. Envy for everything that is pretty and fair. I thought he said he liked the dark... Whatever. I will teach you everything I know, your new and only now parent says with a hideous smile. The end.
Hey everyone, it's Emily. Sorry to interrupt the video for you, but I wanted to let you guys know that generally when Amanda and I play these games, we tend to go in with a bit of a blind eye, especially if it's a Steam game. We'll read up, the description of the game, but we don't really know much about it going in because we want our reactions to be genuine. So Amanda started filming this video and she got through 3 of these interactive stories, but as she was playing one of the stories, she felt uncomfortable about it, and after she finished, we talked and we both agreed that that's not something that we thought would be appropriate to put up on YouTube, nor was it something that we wanted on our channel. So this is me just filling in, giving you guys another quick story that I'm going to play for you. Oh, it's in Turkish? That's cool. Okay. So Amanda told me that I'm not doing dolls. I think we'll try Crystal Skull. You are a king who is loved by his people. You have a serious problem though. Your only child, Juliana, has an incurable disease and she is dying. You hear about a crystal skull which can cure illnesses and let people have visions. It is brought to your palace from the continent of America, but your man warns you that the skull might be cursed. Will the crystal skull bring health to the princess or doom? Bum bum bum. Being a king is hard. Being a good king is even harder. You know this well as the sole ruler of a European kingdom in the age when America is discovered. Very non-descriptive, okay. It has been 25 years since you ascended to the throne. Your subjects are content with your rule. Your country is in peace, and the people are wealthy. But there is something wrong with your life. Your daughter, Juliana, bolded, is ill. She's only 18 years old, and she has got an illness that nobody could cure yet. Sorry, Ozzy's being needy. Princess is dying, and she is your only child and heir to the throne. Every doctor you could find tried to cure her. You've tried almost everything. Almost. You have been informed about a miraculous artifact unearthed in the continent of America. It's a human skull made of crystal. Is this based off Indiana Jones? It amazes the scholars because no method is known to carve up such an excellent shape of a skull out of crystal. This skull doesn't belong to the world that you know, but to an ancient civilization that has been lost. Yeah, this is definitely Indiana Jones. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, the shitty one with Cate Blanchett. But what amazes the scholars is not just the impossible creation. The skull is told to bring miracles to whom touches it with their bare hands. Some people tell that they saw visions from the future. Some tell that they saw how the human race has originated. And some tell that the skull can cure their illnesses. Those couldn't be cured with the medication available to your era. Okay. It's like making a lot of assumptions about what I know about what the future is going to hold for the rest of the world. Naturally, you ordered your best men to bring the miraculous skull to the palace. It's midnight now. You are in Juliana's chamber. She's lying in her bed, holding your hand as you sit by her bed. No candles are lit inside. Full moon enlightens the princess's chamber, shining on her long blonde hair and blue eyes. She is too weak. Her skin is pale. She has under-eye bags, showing her illness. You already suffered the loss of your wife 10 years ago. Now you can't stand seeing your only daughter slowly die. Juliana asks you with a soft voice, "Father, am I going to die?" Eventually, yes. Oh my God. That's how much I love you, babe. I won't allow that. She smiles. I know, Father. You are a mighty king. I know that you will do the best by your subjects and me. I have a feeling that's gonna come back to bite him in the butt. Ugh. The door of the chamber is knocked on. The servants generally don't disturb the royal family members at night, so it must be something important. Come in. A brunette boy, one of your servants, gets inside the chamber with politeness. He looks at you and says, "Your Majesty, the artifact has been brought." You had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Go to the artifact or kiss Juliana's forehead. I will come back. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be a nice dad. After you kiss Juliana's forehead and say, "I will come back," she brings your hand to her pale lips and kisses it. Then you leave Juliana alone in her chamber. At the exit of Juliana's chamber, you see Sir William, one of the knights I don't think this person's first language is English. One of the knights who were appointed with the task of bringing the ancient skull. He is a strong man with a black hair and round beard. He wears gloves and holds a bag. "Your Majesty," he says, and kneels before you. Signal him to stand up. Let's go to my study chamber. Sir William follows you as you walk to your study chamber. The chamber is well lit with silver candelabras. All the furniture is classy. It is a king's study room, after all. There is only one chair. It is for you. You sit on it. Sir William stands by you and slowly pulls the artifact from his bag. You push the books on the study desk to open space for the artifact. "Here it is," he says, and gently puts the crystal skull on the study desk. The skull is truly a masterpiece. If it is crafted by humans, all the details of a human skull are imprinted with care on raw crystal. Lights coming from the candles are refracted inside the crystal, giving various colors of a rainbow. It's magnificent, but you sense something sinister, something that doesn't belong to our world. Touch the scroll. I'm not going to be a dumbass. I'm going to ask the knight if any of them touched it. Yes, we did touch the skull with our bare hands, and we all had visions. We took glances from our futures. Some of us saw how they will die. Some of us saw our grandchildren. He continues, "But maybe we shouldn't have touched the skull. The day we were about to leave, a native man came to us. He looked like the chief of his tribe. He knew little of our language, but he shouted some words that we could understand. 'Cursed!' No touch! So we haven't touched the skull with our bare hands again. I know that our princess needs to find a cure. I also know that we received reliable information about the magical powers of this skull when it comes to incurable diseases. But Your Majesty, I have a very bad feeling about this skull. I believe that the wise decision is to throw this skull to the sea. See, I have a feeling this is going to be a juicy video if I let Juliana touch the skull. But at the same time, I still want to be a good guy. So what I'm going to do... fuck it, we came here for the juicy bits. Let's have Juliana touch the skull. The knight sighs. As you wish, Your Majesty. But if you are going to bring this skull to her, I wish you would wear gloves. Well, if I die, and my daughter dies, then hopefully a smart person's going to take over the kingdom. So, yeah, let's touch it with bare hands. You ignore the knight, touch the skull with your bare hands, and instantly find yourself in a vision. In your vision, you are in the middle of a ritual. There are about 100 naked humans around you, forming a circle whose center is you. They are all prostrating themselves, worshiping you. It's nighttime. The plain area is enlightened with torches and stars. You see a stepped pyramid nearby. It is made of huge stone blocks. You realize that you are the crystal skull. You can't see yourself, but you are completely aware of what you are. These naked people are worshiping you, the crystal skull. Then the visions change. Now it is not night, morning. It is raining like hell. There is a huge flood. Unclothed, red-skinned humans scream and get drowned because of the disastrous torrent. And you, as the skull, drift away. That's a little racist. Just a little bit. You open your eyes and turn back to who you really are, the good king. Cerulean looks at you. Let's tell him the vision. You tell him what you have seen in your vision. Yes, this skull is mysterious. I can't understand it. I hope it doesn't bring harm to you or Princess, Your Majesty, he says. All right, here we go. You thank Sir William for his services and let him go. You carry the skull to Juliana's chamber. You enter her chamber and see that she hasn't slept yet. She rises up and sits on her bed. She looks at the skull in awe. It looks marvelous and scary, she says. You approach Juliana and let her touch the skull. She holds the skull, rubs her hands around it. Nothing happens. Something supposed to happen? She asks, then gives the skull back. And she continues. Let's wait for tomorrow morning. Maybe it shows that its effects then. So you decide to leave Juliana alone and let her sleep. The skull will be staying in your study chamber. After this tiring day, you go to your chamber. There are no guards at the door. You just trust everybody in the palace. That's not smart. You are a loved king. The furniture is luxurious in this chamber, too. You take a glance at your reflection in the mirror. You take pride on how you look. You are a middle-aged man, but you still look as handsome as you were when you were young. Your looks are an important factor. That makes you a charismatic leader, besides being fair and wise. Yeah, I guess so. You wear your nightgown and get into your bed. It is a bed for two people, but you haven't slept with anyone since your wife passed away. You have a secret that you keep from everyone. Sometimes you hug the second pillow in your bed, as if it was someone you love. You do this since your childhood. Nobody needs to know that. It's an interesting detail. It doesn't take long for you to fall asleep. You wake up in the morning. Something is wrong. You can't move your arms. No, not only your arms, you can't move any part of your body. You are paralyzed. Then suddenly your body starts to move involuntarily. It stands up without your consent. Your feet bring you to the mirror. You see your face in the mirror. You are terrified. But there is a grin on your face. You are no longer in control of your body. You are merely a bystander of what it does. It brings you to the throne room with confident steps. Soldiers salute you, to be exact. It. As you enter, it sits on the throne and shouts with your voice, "Bring me my daughter!" You watch guards accompany Juliana as she comes into your presence. It shouts, "I don't want her to suffer anymore! Kill her!" Juliana's shocked. "What? Father, please!" She's not the only surprised one in the room. Everybody looks at each other with shock and shouts, "You heard her, King! Execute her!" You try to shout, but your screams are buried inside the head of a king. Juliana gets on her knees to cry in despair, but it's in vain. Two black masked decapitators come into your presence. One holds the crying blonde girl, the other holds the sword. Wow, I guess they just have executioners on standby. Ugh, that was a gross sound. You can do nothing but watch as your precious daughter gets decapitated. Her head falls down and rolls to the throne. The floor gets filled with her blood. The days pass. It continues to control your body. You mourn for your daughter inside the body that once belonged to you. You watch it rule your country with an iron fist. It orders all the churches be burnt and priests to be hanged. Of course, your people uprise against the new king. It suppresses the revolt with violence. Anyone who stood against the king gets tortured. Eyes are poked, skins are flayed. Soon, it orders people to worship it as a deity. The God King declares war against all other countries. It doesn't take long for the other countries to form an alliance against the good king. In a fateful battle in your capital, the God King loses his horse. The evil king gets killed while desperately searching for a horse. And this is how your soul finally breaks free to heaven to see your family once again. The end. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any other ideas for games that you want to play, let us know down in the comments below. Smash that like button if you like this video and subscribe if you have not subscribed already. And for now, I'm Emily, my sister Amanda. You saw my sister Amanda at the beginning of this video. We're M&M, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!